to some of the earnings then, and RITES is the company that we will be putting the spotlight on because the company did report its numbers this time. And let's talk more on the numbers. Mr. Rahul Mithal, who is the CMD of RITES, is joining us right now. Hi, very good morning, Mr. Rahul, and thank you so much for your time. First of all, if I look at your Q1 performance, then that remained a bit muted on all the fronts with like sharp cuts in your EBITDA margins as well. So wanted to understand what were the challenges in the quarter gone by, and going ahead, what is the outlook on revenue as well as margins for FY25? Specifically on the margins, can we expect that to rebound?
You see, the quarter has been muted, and this is primarily because the two main challenges, if you compare YOY, the two main challenges in terms of revenue from our inspection vertical and from our export vertical, they had a substantial impact. So if you compare the export revenue, there was a hit of about 35 crores, which was nearly nil this quarter. And the new regime of inspection for IR, which started hitting in last year in the first quarter, that completely rolled out in this quarter of this FY, and that had an impact of about 25 crores. So the total impact combined is about 60 odd crores, which we tried to make good, and we will continue to make good to the extent possible from our project consultancy revenue. But as you see, that has had a net impact of about 50 crores in the top line.
The Shellos are joining in the conversation, and your company has actually signed an agreement to supply about 200 passenger coaches to Bangladesh Railways. If you could tell us what's the timeline for that, what sort of a revenue potential is the company expecting from that particular deal?
See, this is a huge achievement for us because after a gap of about nearly 3 to 4 years, the COVID and post-COVID period, we have been trying to garner a new export of rolling stock contract. And this was a huge global tender of about 900 crores, 200 coaches. And we have got the order and signed the agreement in this quarter. We will try and see that we expedite while the delivery requirements as per the contract are long. But we, in terms of trying to get revenue at least by end of this FY or latest first quarter of next FY, we will try and expedite the supply of coaches, at least a few lots of 30-40 coaches, so that the revenue starts flowing in.
And also, Mr. Rahul, apart from the Bangladesh order, how are the trends and the opportunities internationally? What is the outlook on export overall?
You see, in our international business, we have two streams of revenue. One is export of rolling stock, and one is international project consultancy. An export of rolling stock in the last few months, we, as I said, had a breakthrough after a gap of few years. This 900 crores order from Bangladesh Railway, and about 300 crores orders from Mozambique for supply of 10 locomotives. So we have now an order book of about 1,200 crores in export. And on these lines, we are bidding for a large number of EOIs across various geographies. And we are hopeful that in the coming quarters, we should be able to see some more orders in the export of rolling stock. As far as international project consultancy is concerned, we are already doing a highway project in Guyana, airport project in Nepal, a few projects in Bangladesh, a railway and a highway and a multimodal project. And parallelly, we have bid for a number of opportunities across sectors, whether it is highways, railways, multimodal SEZs, etc., across various geographies. And I'm sure these will mature into some orders in the coming quarters. So both these elements of our strategic initiative called RITES Videsh will generate orders in the coming quarters. And we see huge opportunities in this.
Right. Sir, if you could talk about about your order book visibility, if you could help us, what sort of visibility that you have for this one for FY25-26? Also, if you could help us understand which segments will go ahead and drive growth for your company going ahead.
You see, we are very encouraged by the fact that in the last quarter itself, we saw an order book jump of about 11% from 31st March. We added about 1,300 plus crores. And this trend, in fact, if you see in the first 2 quarters of last financial year, in the first H1, we got total orders of about 600 crores. And if you see the last 3 quarters, that is the 2 quarters of last FY and the first quarter of this FY, we have added 3,000 crores in our order book. So that's about 5 times the first H1 of last FY. And as we say, we have already reached the milestone of being a one order a day company. And I'm sure we're going to maintain this trend. And the heartening feature is that as you see the trend also in this quarter, we have got orders across our verticals. So whether it's a tunnel in J&K, it's a highway project in Assam, it's airports in Bihar, it's a rail infra project in Karnataka, it's a building a hospital project in Amravati, Maharashtra. All my verticals are getting orders across the country. So this trend, I'm sure, as I said at the outset, the aim is that this jump in order book in the last few quarters, our focus is to try and execute them at the fastest possible so that they start generating revenue in the coming quarters at the fastest.
Most definitely, and all the best for that, sir. Thank you so much for joining us on ET Now to talk about the earnings gone by, this quarter gone by for RITES, as well as what's your visibility when you talk about the order book, the growth coming ahead. And that is Mr. Mithal, who was the CMD of RITES, talking about his earnings. But let's shift focus. Let's talk about